but it wasn't quite clear how that was going to work out. So when Eli's name gets called, when he gets drafted, this was back when the draft was still at Radio City. This was before it started getting moved around. So Mike and I are sitting there doing the draft. You know, we're doing all the stuff for ESPN Radio, as we did for several years. And all of a sudden, Paul Tagliabue comes walking out onto the stage, and he's going to make some sort of announcement. But there's a lot of confusion going on up there. This was, I guess, after Rivers was picked by the Giants, and there's obviously a lot going on. And I'm trying to describe it. This is a radio audience. On television, you can just show it. And I'm sure Chris Berman at that moment was just saying, look what's going on here. It's not clear what it is. Obviously, something is happening. But I don't have that luxury as the radio announcer. I need to describe to people what's happening. And our engineer, whose name I will not give because I don't want all these years later to embarrass him again, but he was the guy who was engineering our broadcast. It's Mike, me, and this one other guy, stands up directly in front of me because he's trying to see what's going on. He is directly in front of me, completely blocking my vision of what is happening on the stage. I cannot stand up because we are wearing headsets that the cords are not long enough. So I have to remain seated, and I am desperately trying to see around him to see what's going on up there on the stage, and that is how we missed the trade of Philip Rivers for Eli Manning that year. It was not until they announced it that I knew what had happened. So that was what happened. In 2004, we were self-sabotaged because someone stood up in front of us, and we could not see a thing, and thus we were aware something was going on, but until they announced it, we did not know what it was. How about that?
I remember hearing that story in the past. That's great. That's just, I can imagine being in that moment, knowing how crazy it is, and just seeing that person stand up. And I think I know who it is. And seeing that person stand up, and just imagining you and Golik's reaction with him standing up, and you guys just missing such a seminal moment in NFL history. You guys having no idea what's going on. It's such a funny visual of seeing this person standing in front of you guys missing the trade. It's so funny to think of.
It was the weirdest day too, because like it's Eli, so it's not He's as famous as any college football player coming in could possibly be, not necessarily because of his accomplishments in college, although he was very good, but because it's Peyton who's there, and Archie is there, and all the buildup had come about how he didn't want to be there. So everyone kind of knew something might happen. In fact, when they originally announced him as the pick of, if you go back to the legendary pictures, he's wearing a San Diego Chargers hat. He was drafted by the Chargers, and he's got a look on his face like something really, really weird is going on. You just knew that was in the air that something was going to happen. But to be honest, as I'm remembering this, and it's a long time ago, so I'm doing this from memory, I don't think we knew exactly what was going to happen. We knew that the Giants, that he wanted to be on the Giants. I don't think going in that the storyline was they're going to do this swap. I think Eli was, the Manning family was trying to get the Chargers not to take him. And then that maybe, I don't know how they worked this thing out after the fact, but one way or another, that was what wound up, obviously what wound up happening, and history was thus written. It's going to be a great story to write someday. That draft, Cam, if you were to rank those players in order, Eli Manning, Philip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger, the order in which they were drafted was Manning, then Rivers, then Roethlisberger. Obviously, Manning and Rivers were swapped on that day.
Well, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up.
With their careers all finished, in what order would you put them?
Probably Roethlisberger, Manning, then Rivers, but it still depends how you're quantifying that, because Roethlisberger and Manning have the same amount of rings. But Roethlisberger, besides the San Antonio Holmes play, didn't play that great in a lot of the playoff games, whereas Manning was the complete opposite, threw a bunch of picks in the regular season, and then postseason he was like the greatest player ever. And Rivers, just like what will probably happen to Justin Herbert, great player until the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. So those guys are all really close to each other, but such an interesting draft with those three being such key pieces at the center.
Well, the way because you framed it well. If you asked me which one was the best player, I'd say Rivers. I thought Rivers was the best player of the three. He, of course, won by far the least. Eli had 2 of the great
Testing 1,
postseason
2,
runs in the
test 1,
history of
2.
the sport. Outside of that
Wooly.
was a good
2.
NFL
Nothing.
regular season quarterback and never won a playoff game in any other year.
No, I'm not
Roethlisberger,
here.
I think, was the combination of the two. He was a better regular season quarterback than Eli, and he had infinitely more postseason success than Rivers did. It goes to show you the most important thing that happens in the draft is where you wind up.
It's the
It's
video
not what
stream.
number you get picked,
Out there
it's
is
what
it.
team winds up taking
Yeah,
you.
that-
Now, with
okay,
that
so
thought
that's
in
not it.
mind, coming up next, the saddest statistic that one NFL team will ever have.
Okay.
That's after
20,
this on ESPN
19,
Radio.
18, 17,
Hun,
16,
we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
14,
I know.
13,
It's just been so
12,
busy, and I'm sure
11,
the cost is out of our
10.
budget.
Well, Jen
9,
told me that they got a $500,000 term life
7,
insurance policy from
6,
Ethos for less than $23 a month. All online with no complicated
you
forms
heard it.
and no medical
Yeah,
exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait,
Now it's-
no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be.
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now. Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam, and Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old man
Okay.
with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Former NFL player and Rose Bowl champion Tarek Saleh here for Carbon World Health. Carbon is much more than just another gym. They offer the best recovery in the area. Some of my favorites include red light therapy and cryotherapy. Improve your athletic performance, fitness and training results, speed up muscle recovery and reduce pain, and boost your mood with these simple and non-invasive treatments. Visit Carbon World Health today and ask for the ESPN Recovery Package. That's Carbon World Health.
You, rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Alex Strofe.
This Badger Minute brought to you by Simden Chevrolet in Mount Horeb. You're only minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevrolet in Mount Horeb. Call it a homecoming for Wisconsin basketball legend Michael Finley, who will be returning to campus this winter as UW-Madison's commencement speaker, the university announced earlier this week. Finley was a 2-time NBA All-Star and helped lead Wisconsin to their first NCAA tournament in almost 50 years back in 1994. Finley's number 24 jersey was retired by the university last year, making him only the third Wisconsin basketball player to receive that honor. UW-Madison's winter commencement will take place at 10 a.m. on Sunday, December 17th at the Kohl Center, where Finley's number hangs in the rafters.
Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can dramatically help lower your energy costs year-round. No interest and no down payment for up to 36 months when you order by November 30th. Visit PellaWI.com.